Good day, everyone. I'm Dr. Ayla Edsmer Agent Sweetie Torres, and I'm here to discuss the other health programs of the Department of Health. For the objectives, at the end of this course, you should be able to describe the other health programs of the DOH, not included from the previous topics, the communicable, non-communicable, and the family health programs, and to apply the different health programs to clinical and community practice. As a quick introduction, the Department of Health is one of the government agencies that attends to the needs of millions of people daily and establish several programs to help meet the health and nutrition needs of the public and has programs for nutrition, specific diseases, immunization, child health, and a lot of more. The DOH office is located in Tayuman, Manila, and our current DOH secretary is Dr. Teodoro Herbosa. The first DOH program we will discuss is the Blood Donation Program, RA 7719, otherwise known as the National Blood Services Act of 1994. This is an act promoting voluntary blood donation, providing for an adequate supply of safe blood, regulating blood banks, and providing penalties for violation thereof. This law aims to promote and encourage voluntary blood donation by the citizenry to provide for adequate, safe, affordable, and equitable distribution of supply of blood and blood products. The question now is how and where will they promote voluntary blood donation? First is through public education. The DOH will launch public education campaigns to educate the community on the importance and benefits of donating blood. Second is through promotion in schools, and the benefits and rationale of voluntary blood donation shall be included and giving emphasis in health subjects in schools, both public and private at all levels. Third is through professional education. The DOH, together with the different health organizations like the Philippine Medical Association, PME, the Philippine Nursing Association, the PNE, and the Philippine Association of Medical Technology, SPAMET, are encouraged to conduct for their respective member trainings on the rational use of blood and blood products, including merits of voluntary blood donation. And lastly, establishing blood services network. Blood centers are strategically established in every province and city nationwide, and collection of blood in various areas of the community is promoted. National Voluntary Blood Services Program is also established. The funds of this program will be coming from the PCSO, and PAGCOR. Each will allocate 25 million pesos annually, and Duty Free Philippines with 20 million. As we can see, there is a program and budget. All we need to do is encourage volunteer blood donation to help maintain an adequate supply of blood for medical purposes. Next is the Barangay Nutrition Scholar Program. This is a human resource development strategy of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition to involve recruitment, training, and supervision of volunteer workers called the BNS or the Barangay Nutrition Scholar. The PD 1569, one BNS in every barangay in the country to monitor nutritional status of children and nutritional at-risk group. To date, there's a total of 49,779 BNS deployed in 39,942 barangays nationwide. And what are the qualifications to be a BNS or Barangay Nutrition Scholar? He or she should be a bona fide resident of the barangay for at least 4 years and, of course, can speak local language and has leadership potentials by being a member of community or organizations, willing to serve the barangay for at least 1 year, at least elementary graduate, but preferably reach high school level, physically and mentally fit, and more than 18 years old but younger than 60 years old. Interested parties will have to undergo didactics training and 20-day practicum. The training facilitates the acquisition of knowledge, attitudes, and skills needed to identify the malnourished, monitoring the malnourished, and referring them to appropriate service providers. There are four tasks of the BNS. First is caring for the malnourished, and BNS locates and identifies malnourished children through community survey referred as Operation Timbang Plus, which involves weighing and getting the height of the preschoolers. Next task is to mobilize the community where they engage the community to improve the nutrition status. Next, the linkage building, where they link the people needing nutrition intervention with the barangay service providers. And lastly, keeping records for the benefits they are to receive modest monthly traveling allowance, where the amount depends on the financial capability of the LGU. They're also entitled to the First Level Civil Service Commission, the CSC, eligibility after completing the 2 years of continuous and satisfactory service. And also, they will receive the BNS kits. Next is the Dental Health Program. According to the 2018 National Survey on Oral Health, two most common oral health diseases affecting Filipinos are dental caries or tooth decay, 72%, and the periodontal diseases or gum disease, 50%. Hence, the objectives of the program are first, to reduce the prevalence of dental caries, annual target of 5%, and reduce the periodontal diseases prevalence, 5%, and of course, reduce the dental caries experience, another 5% annual reduction, and the proportion of orally fit children 12 to 71 months old is increased, and the annual target is 20%. In 2007, the DOH formulated the guidelines in the implementation of the oral health program for public health offices, which aims to reduce the prevalence rate of dental caries to 85% and periodontal disease by 60%, prevented curative and promotive dental health care to Filipinos. And for the training, a training program was designed with the public health dentists as the main recipients of the basic course on the management of oral health program with a corresponding training manual. This is to provide an in-depth on different roles and functions of dentists. And these figures are the basic packages of essential oral health services for every life cycle group to be provided in health facilities, beginning from the pregnant woman, the neonatal and infant under 1 year old, children 12 to 71 months old, school children 6 to 12 years old, adolescent and youth 10 to 24 years old, other adults 25 to 59 years old, older persons 60 years old and above. Environment health programs. These are also very important as this ensures that environmental related diseases are prevented and no longer a public health problem in the community. Its mission is to guarantee sustainable environmental sanitation services in every community. There are several components of environmental health programs, which includes drinking water supply, sanitation, open defecation program, food sanitation, air pollution, chemical safety, climate change for health, and the impact assessment. The objectives of these programs are the following. expand and strengthen delivery of quality environmental sanitation services, institute supportive organizational policy and management system, increase financing and investment in environmental sanitation, enforce regulation policy and standards, and establish performance accountability mechanisms at all levels. There has been an increased number of cases of mental health. Hence, Republic Act 11036, otherwise known as the Mental Health Act, was passed. This act has been promulgated to enhance and integrate mental health service delivery, universal health care through promotion and protection of the rights of persons using psychosocial health services, and increasing investments in mental health. The National Mental Health Program ensures the implementation of the law and affirms the basic right of all Filipinos to mental health, as well as the fundamental rights of people who require mental health services. The vision of the program is to promote the well-being of all Filipinos, supported by transformative multi-sectoral partnerships, comprehensive mental policies and programs, while its mission is to promote wellness of all Filipinos, prevent mental, psychosocial, and neurologic disorders, substance abuse, and reduce burden of disease by improving quality care and recovery in order to attain the highest possible level of health. This program has five components. First is the wellness of daily living, which ensures that all health or social or poverty reduction or safety and security programs and the likes are protective factors in general for the entire population. It also promotes healthy lifestyle, prevention and control of diseases, and family wellness programs, as well as school and workplace health and wellness programs. Second is the extreme life experience, which ensures the provision of mental health and psychosocial support, the HPSS, during personal and community-wide disasters. The third and fourth are the mental disorder and neurologic disorders. And lastly, the substance abuse and other forms of addiction. This ensures provision of services for mental, neurologic, and substance use disorders at the primary level from assessment, treatment, and management to referral. This also is for the enhancement of the mental facilities. Types of services for this program are Mental Health Benefit Package and the PhilHealth Release Circular 2023-0018, which ensures that consultations, diagnostic follow-ups, psychoeducational, and psychosocial support are free. It also includes the general mental health services worth 9,000 pesos and specialty mental health services of 16,000 pesos annually. Training includes the Mental Health Gap Action Program, Tulong Alalay at Gabay, Community-Based Mental Health, WHO Quality Rights, and Harmonized Training Manual. The occupational health programs aim to prevent and control occupational diseases, work-related diseases, and injuries among workers in all occupations. And their vision is healthy Filipino workforce. While its mission are to direct, harmonize, and converge all efforts in occupational disease prevention and control, ensure equitable, accessible, and efficient health services to workers, and establish dynamic partnership, shared advocacy, responsibility, and accountability. Republic Act 11058, or the Occupational Safety and Health Standards, was passed last May 22, 2018, and emphasizes the duties and rights of employers, workers, and other persons. Basically, it includes the safety and hazards in the workplace, ensures compliance with the standards of OSH, and what and who are liable if ever something happened in the workplace. It is also important to take note here the PD 442 or the Labor Code of the Philippines that the state shall afford protection to labor, promote full employment, ensure equal work opportunities, and regulate the relations between workers and employers. Prevention of Blindness Program, and based on 2018 Philippine National Blindness Survey and IDC study, impairment and blindness are ranked among the major concerns in the country with prevalence rate of 1.98%. And this represents 1.11 million Filipinos with cataract, 400,000 with uncorrected error of refraction, almost 300,000 with glaucoma, and 200,000 with maculopathy. The vision of the program is for every Filipino enjoying right to sight, while its goal is to reduce prevalence of avoidable blindness in the Philippines through the provision of quality eye care. Republic Act 10754, otherwise known as the Persons with Disability Act, is an act expanding the benefits and privileges of Filipinos with disability. They can enjoy at least 20% discount and be VAT exempted on hotels and lodging, theaters, cinema house, concert hall, as well as the domestic fares, medicines, and medical services in all private hospitals. They can also enjoy educational assistance, continuance of same benefits and privilege by SSS, GSIS, and pag-ibig, as well as the express lanes. And lastly, the Violence and Injury Prevention Program, the VIPP, and its main objective is to reduce mortality and morbidity due to violence and injuries in the Philippines. It is a multi-sectoral collaboration and ensures the implementation of a holistic set of interventions to address and prevent these types of violence and injuries. And the key areas of this program are as follows: road traffic injuries, drowning, burns, falls, poisoning, self-harm or suicide, and sports and recreational injuries. I hope that with implementation, Filipinos can maximize the benefits and services of these programs. And at the end of the day, with everyone's cooperation, we can someday achieve the ultimate goal of healthy Filipinas. Thank you for your kind attention.